Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep. We're going to follow the incredible, almost unbelievable journey of a single, powerful parasite from a simple blade of grass all the way into the lungs of an animal.
You hear that? That's not just some common cold. That is a deep, hacking cough, and it's the first sign that a silent, microscopic invasion has already begun.
So, to really get a handle on this parasite, first we need to understand the disease it so masterfully creates. The official name for this condition is verminous pneumonia, and honestly it tells you everything you need to know. Verminous, yep, from vermin, so you know right away worms the culprit, and pneumonia tells you exactly where the battle is raging, in the lungs. But, farmers and veterinarians, they've got more direct names for it. Parasitic bronchitis makes sense, but the one you hear most often is husk and hoos. And those names, they perfectly captured that harsh, dry sound of the main symptom. So let's meet our main character, Dictyocaulus, the lungworm. And don't let the word worm fool you into thinking it's tiny. These things can grow up to 10 centimeters long. Imagine a milky white worm that size living inside the lungs. They're found in grazing animals all over the world. The life of this parasite is it's a masterclass in survival. And you know what? Its journey doesn't even start in the lungs. It begins quietly out on a pasture.
Okay, let's walk through this, because it's a perfect loop. The parasite's life cycle is like a 4-act play. First, expulsion. Then, development out in the world. After that, infection. And finally, the grand finale. A daring migration right back to the lungs to start the whole thing over again.
So the whole saga kicks off with what's called the L1 larva. And what's really amazing is that it's basically born with a packed lunch. It doesn't need to eat. It survives entirely on these little brown food granules you can see right inside its cells. It's like a built-in battery pack for the journey ahead. And they move fast. In just about a week, 6 to 7 days, these larvae are ready to go. They develop out on the pasture and become infective just sitting there, waiting for some unsuspecting animal to come along and take a bite of that exact patch of grass. Now, once it's ingested, this little parasite begins one of the most remarkable migrations you can imagine in the microscopic world. It's a trip from the gut to the lungs, but believe me, it is not a straight line. This isn't just a walk in the park, it's an internal marathon. The larva has to navigate this incredible maze of tissues and organs, a true microscopic odyssey, just to get to where it's going. I mean, just look at this timeline. It reads like a special ops mission. Day 0, ingestion. They're in. By days 1 to 3, they've already broken through the intestinal wall. Day 4, they hit the lymph nodes and level up to their next stage. And then, between days 5 and 7, they've hijacked the bloodstream and arrived at their destination, the lungs. Incredible. But hey, just getting to the lungs isn't the end of the story. Not even close. Now, the real mission begins. Mature, reproduce, and kick off that whole cycle again. This is the takeover. And this parasite, it's a specialist. D. flaria, for instance. It goes for sheep and goats. D. viviparus, on the other hand, targets cattle and buffalo. And scientists can actually tell them apart by looking at these tiny, tiny differences, like the male's reproductive structure. You can see how in one they're just fused at the tips, but in the other they're completely fused. It's a subtle clue, but it's everything.
And this image, this right here is the heart of the problem. As those larvae grow up into adult worms, again, up to 10 centimeters long, they create this tangled mass right in the airways. It's a literal living traffic jam inside the lungs.
And this big mass of worms just sitting there, irritating the delicate lining of the airways, well, that's what triggers that awful persistent cough we call husk. It's the body's alarm system, desperately trying and failing to kick out an army of invaders. So after seeing this whole wild journey, the real question becomes, how do you even begin to stop it? Well, understanding this life cycle in detail, that's the absolute first step to controlling this thing's devastating impact.
And here's the crucial thing to remember. None of this is an accident. The parasite's entire existence is perfectly timed, perfectly synchronized with the everyday grazing habits of the animals it infects. It's like a predator that knows its prey's every single move.
Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty daunting final thought. When you're dealing with a parasite that is so perfectly evolved, so resilient, and so woven into the very fabric of its host's life, is stopping its journey even possible?
It's a constant, high-stakes chess match between us and millions of years of evolution.